Hello, welcome to this Weight of Fire video. My name's Andy and I am just going to compare two sets of new Plastic Afghan Warriors. One from Wargames Atlantic. They sell for about £25 RRP for 40 models. These are 28mm. And then Perry Miniatures Afghan Tribesmen 36 figures for £20. So actually very comparable. Now both of these new ranges are designed to cover a very wide period of history, sort of 1800 to 1900 or early 20th century, which means that there are different weapon options in there to cover the different weapons that might be available during that wide time span. It's really interesting to see such a good support for colonial miniatures gaming. Very interesting to see two hard plastic sets come out at roughly the same sort of time as well, and really you couldn't ask for better if you're wargaming the first or second Afghan wars particularly, but also you could use a lot of these I'm sure for other colonial conflicts in the Punjab or India. So let's have a little look at the back of the boxes. So just showing the miniatures on each of these. You can see sort of standard setup if you're used to looking at these boxes, so a little bit of fluff, a few examples of painted miniatures. Now of course not so much in the way of uniforms, of course most people will be wearing their normal civilian clothing, although we'll look at a few bits more militaristic inside in a second. So first up, let's look at the Wargames Atlantic sprue. There are 8 sprues, exactly the same, so 5 torsos on each sprue, 1 kneeling, 1 walking and sort of 3 more aggressively perhaps running. And you can see there's a range of different heads down the bottom here, different headdresses, mostly turbaned, but there are some here with just a skull cap back here. You can see that there are a number of shields, 4 shields on here, so you can't have everyone with shields, but you've got plenty of options. You've got several talwar carrying or khyber knife carrying arms, and then you've got a variety of different ranged weapons. So we've got more traditional muskets, Indian style muskets with a very deep curve to the stock. We've got more sort of Indian Empire muskets here, and then at the top end here we've got some Martini Henrys, I think they are, which would be more suitable of course for the second Afghan war, and even a separate one, which is always nice to have a weapon that isn't attached to an arm, because you can use it obviously for dioramas and things like that. So lots of good options there. Not a huge variety because obviously it's the same sprue, but plenty of options there for what to do. So moving on to the Perry Miniatures box, you've got a set of bases, which they are pretty standard for their miniatures. They do slightly peculiar sizes to me, not the standard 40 by 40, I think about 45mm wide, which is fine. The idea is to put 6 models on a base, I think, on these larger bases. It gives them a more cramped sort of look. I don't know if you really want that though for sort of Afghan warriors, but yeah, it's good. The other really different thing is that you get this sheet by Mark Urban. So Mark Urban's written a lot of stuff on colonial conflicts, particularly the Victorian period, and you can see that there's some nice painted miniatures from the Perry twins as well. Some history here about the different conflicts, the first and second Afghan war, even a little bit of detail on culture and fashion and what people would wear. So you can see different headdresses here, normal turbans, different styles of turbans, and then the beehive hat, which was more towards the second Afghan war really, I think that's more like to be seen. A bit of history as well, including notable battles, sites from both the first and second Afghan war. And then of course an explanation of the sprues, both the main sprue of the infantry and the command sprue as well, and giving you examples of how to build the soldiers in different ways. And then on the back some flags as well. Now, on quite glossy paper, so you may or may not want that look, but they've been designed to be cut out and put straight onto the banner poles. And as it's quite difficult to find flags for the native troops in this sort of period, I think this is probably a really good asset, to be honest. It's very, very difficult to find from most of the companies that sell flags anything that isn't British or East India Company, to be honest. Okay, moving on to the miniatures. So you get 4 sprues like this. These are the standard infantry sprues. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 miniatures on each sprue. A range of different poses, some running very aggressively, a couple of squatting or sitting models, and the others advancing. Similar to the Wargames Atlantic set, you've got different options for muskets, flintlock muskets. You've also got the different types of Khyber knife and Tolwar, shields as well, a couple of different sizes of shield. And we talk about headgear. You've got different types of turban, sort of rough turbans, more detailed turbans, and then the beehive hat here and skull caps as well. So a very similar vein. And again, there's differences in style of the more European looking flintlock musket and the more Indian style flintlock musket. What I can't see on here is any Martini Henry, so later rifles. Can't see any of those on there. But then there are 2 other sprues which are the same. So this is a command sprue. And what you get here is one more upright and one slightly more running figure. Again, another series of heads. Slightly different weapons. So you get a pistol here, flintlock pistol, a guy brandishing, or sorry, drawing his sword, pointing, gesticulating, and a standard. You also get a drum as well, a little hand drum. So a bit more of a command option available in this set. So here's a couple of models I've quickly put together. We've got one of this is our Wargames Atlantic miniature, so I've just built him with his rifle, his musket I should say. Lovely, leaning forwards. Fantastic. And then the Perry one I've picked. This guy, similarly, just a musket. I've added in a Tolwar on his side, his sword, and he's running towards forwards. Let's put them together for sort of a size comparison. Very similar, really no major difference. Ever so slightly taller, perhaps the Perry miniature, and slightly broader in the shoulder, slightly more heroic posing for the Wargames Atlantic miniature. But I think if you were to put these in a unit together, there wouldn't be any noticeable difference at all. So, in summary, I think we are spoiled at the moment for wargaming the Afghan conflicts. 2 fantastic box sets with lots of miniatures for a very economical price. Works out at about 50 pence a miniature, to be honest, which is nothing in this day and age. You get slightly later periods of weaponry in the Wargames Atlantic one with the Martini Henrys, and you get the flags, and you get more background in the Perry miniatures set. So each one offers something different. Both are fantastic value, both are fantastic sculpts. They look great. I will be certainly putting some together to go with my Empress Miniatures first Afghan war models that I have already pre-ordered. So fantastic, very excited indeed. So thanks very much for watching, guys. Please like, comment and subscribe. Listen out for the Weight of Fire podcast, and please head over to the Weight of Fire Facebook page. Thanks very much. Bye.